For 3 years she lived in their shadow, the quiet daughter-in-law who never quite belonged in their prestigious family. But when her in-laws threw her out of the house just hours after her husband's funeral, claiming she deserved nothing from their son's estate, they thought they'd finally gotten rid of her for good. The mourning widow left without protest, taking only a small box of personal items as they celebrated their victory. They changed the locks, seized the bank accounts, and told everyone she'd been nothing but a gold digger who trapped their precious son. But when the family lawyer requested an urgent meeting 7 days later, revealing a secret her husband had hidden for their entire marriage, the truth would destroy everything they believed about their perfect son and the woman they'd so cruelly discarded. Rain soaked through Emma Chen's black dress as she stood at the edge of Willowbrook Cemetery. The Morrison family clustered around the fresh grave, their expensive umbrellas forming a barrier she couldn't cross. Not one acknowledged her presence during the service for Daniel, her husband of 3 years. At 28, Emma possessed quiet beauty the Morrisons found insufficient. Where they commanded attention, she observed. Where they flaunted wealth, she chose simplicity. Her librarian job, evening walks, the small garden behind their guest house. Catherine Morrison had declared her unsuitable from day one. Thomas Morrison, who'd built Morrison Textiles into millions, was more direct. "You're not what we envisioned." But Daniel had loved her. He'd pursued her with determination, promising a life together. When he proposed after 6 months, Emma said, yes, believing love could bridge their different worlds. The Morrison estate sprawled across 15 acres, a monument to new money masquerading as old. The main house dominated the property, while Emma and Daniel lived in the guest house, a temporary arrangement that lasted their entire marriage. Emma had tried making it home, cooking Daniel's favorites, creating warmth away from his family's coldness. She'd attended every family function, endured every slight gracefully, supported Daniel through his battles with his father about modernizing the company. "You don't belong here," Catherine's voice cut through the rain. The funeral had ended, guests dispersing. "Daniel was my husband," Emma replied steadily. "Was," Thomas joined his wife. "A heart attack at 31. Stress from trying to prove himself to you." The accusation stung, but Emma had grown accustomed to their cruelty. What came next, she hadn't expected. "We want you out," Catherine announced. "Today, pack your clothes. Nothing more. Everything else belongs to the estate." "The guest house is my home." "Daniel died without a will," Thomas interrupted. "As his parents, we inherit everything. Security will escort you." 1 hour. Emma wanted to fight, but grief had numbed her responses. Daniel had collapsed in his office 5 days ago, gone before help arrived. Now she was losing everything. As she turned to leave, Emma caught sight of Harold Fitzgerald, the Morrison lawyer, watching from his car with an unreadable expression. Their eyes met briefly before he looked away. Security waited at the guest house. "Mrs. Morrison instructed us to supervise," James, the security chief, said formally. "Personal belongings only." Catherine swept in behind her. "I'll be checking everything." Emma packed mechanically. Her simple clothes filled one small suitcase. "The books stay," Catherine commanded. "Daniel bought those. These were mine before. Everything stays." They systematically erased her presence. Photos, gone. Garden tools, estate property. Even her journal was deemed purchased during marriage. "Your wedding ring," Catherine held out her hand. "That's a Morrison heirloom." Emma touched the sapphire and diamond ring protectively. "Daniel gave this to me." It was my grandmother's. Security can remove it forcibly if necessary. Emma slowly removed the ring, 3 years reduced to jewelry in Catherine's palm. Your phone, the car, both estate property. Thomas checked his watch. A taxi's waiting. With 20 minutes left, Emma had one suitcase and a small box containing her parents' photo, diploma, and pre-marriage letters. "Time's up," Catherine announced. As the taxi pulled away, Emma turned back once. Catherine was already directing staff to clear the guest house, erasing any trace Emma had existed. The rain continued. Emma had nowhere to go. Margaret Chen, no relation, looked up as Emma entered the library, dragging her suitcase. The head librarian rushed around the desk. "Emma, dear God, we heard about the funeral. They made it family only." "They kicked me out," Emma said simply. 3 hours after burying Daniel. Those vultures. Margaret guided her to the break room. "Stay with me. I have a spare room." But Emma remained strangely calm. She'd expected cruelty, but the surgical precision of her erasure pushed her past tears into something else. She sat at a library computer searching for apartments. The Morrisons' influence in Willowbrook meant she'd need to leave town eventually. Better to start planning now. "Emma." Harold Fitzgerald stood beside her. The Morrison lawyer looked older up close with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "Mr. Fitzgerald, if they sent you—" "No one sent me," Harold said quietly. "There are complications with Daniel's estate the Morrisons don't know about." Emma's pulse quickened. "They said he died without a will. That's what they believe. And, for now, it's best they continue believing that." He pressed a business card into her hand. "Come to my office in exactly 1 week. Not before. Tell no one." "Why should I trust you?" "Because Daniel was my client too. He left specific instructions if anything happened to him." Harold glanced around. 1 week, Tuesday, 2 p.m. Everything will make sense then. He left as quietly as he'd come. Emma stared at the card. Harold Fitzgerald, Estate Law. The address was across town, not the Morrison building. That night in Margaret's spare room, Emma lay awake thinking. Daniel had been healthy, athletic, a heart attack at 31, and the timing, just when his fights with Thomas about modernizing had peaked, just when he'd talked about changes to secure their future. He was going to tell them something, she whispered, remembering their last conversation. Daniel had been excited about meetings with lawyers, about protecting what mattered. What had her husband hidden, and why? The week tested Emma's resolve. News of her expulsion spread through Willowbrook quickly. In a town where Morrison Textiles employed a quarter of the population, doors closed firmly. Job interviews mysteriously cancelled. Positions suddenly filled. Even the community college had budget constraints, but Emma didn't crumble. She observed, mapping the Morrison influence. She found work at Sunshine Senior Center on the far side of town, state-funded, free from Morrison. "Control, the Morrisons giving you trouble?" asked Estelle Washington, 90 years old and sharp. "My husband passed. His family and I aren't in contact," Estelle snorted. "Catherine Morrison was trash in high school, married for money, then acted born to it. Don't let them break you." "I won't," Emma promised. Throughout the week, the Morrisons tightened their grip. Her bank received letters about irregularities. Apartments became mysteriously unavailable. Even her yoga studio terminated her membership. But small windows opened. Seniors brought her meals. Margaret accidentally ordered extra books. James had her photos mailed to Margaret's address. A kindness that could have cost his job. Monday, Christopher Morrison appeared at the senior center. Daniel's younger brother looked awkward, his usual swagger gone. "I shouldn't be here," he began. "I wanted to say sorry. Daniel wouldn't have wanted this." "Your wants stopped mattering when he died," Emma replied calmly. "At least to your family. I could help. Get you a settlement. In exchange for what? My silence, my departure." Christopher's silence answered her. He left an envelope. "Daniel kept this at work. You should have it." Inside was a photo, Daniel at the senior center, reading to residents, looking genuinely happy. On the back, the real legacy. Saturdays 2019-2021. Estelle wheeled over. "He stopped coming when he married you. Said he had to keep some things safe from his family." Another puzzle piece. Tomorrow she'd meet Harold. Tomorrow, perhaps she'd understand. Tuesday arrived grey and drizzling. Emma stood outside Harold Fitzgerald's modest office, wedged between a florist and bookstore. "Mrs. Chen, Mr. Fitzgerald is expecting you." Harold's cluttered office held decades of Willowbrook history and photographs. Emma recognized young Harold, with Richard Morrison, Thomas's father. "I'm not the Morrison family lawyer," Harold began. "Haven't been for 2 years. I'm Daniel's personal attorney, retained for matters his family wasn't to know." Emma's composure wavered. "He never mentioned he couldn't. Tell me, what do you know about Morrison Textiles finances?" "It's successful. One of the largest employers." "Smoke and mirrors," Harold interrupted. "The company's been failing for 5 years. Outdated equipment, foreign competition, Thomas's refusal to modernize. They're surviving by selling assets and taking dangerous debt." Understanding clicked. The arguments between Daniel and Thomas were about more than modernization. Daniel discovered the truth 18 months ago. He came to me immediately, not to save the company, too late for that, but to protect certain interests. Harold pulled out a worn folder. Daniel began volunteering again, reconnecting with community beyond his family's influence. He met former employees forced out for questioning Thomas, local business owners squeezed by Morrison practices. "What kind of arrangements?" Emma asked, suspecting the answer. "He tracked down someone special. Mei Ling Chen." Emma straightened. "Chen is common. Your grandmother. She worked for Morrison Textiles 35 years ago, created their most successful patterns. She developed a revolutionary fabric treatment. But Morrison claimed ownership, paid her nothing, threatened legal action if she used her own invention. The injustice burned. What does this have to do with Daniel? He researched patent law for months. The agreement your grandmother signed had flaws, improper witnessing. The patents Morrison filed, legally questionable. Daniel hired lawyers to build a case. He was going to sue his family. He was giving your grandmother evidence to reclaim her work. But that was just the beginning. He knew the company would collapse, leaving hundreds without severance or pensions. So he created something else. Harold produced a sealed envelope with Daniel's handwriting. "For Emma, when the time is right. Daniel knew they'd cast you out if anything happened. He said you'd need to be free of them for what comes next." Emma took the envelope with trembling hands. "There's more." 3 weeks before he died, Daniel transferred personal assets, inheritance, the Morrisons couldn't touch, into a trust. A specific trust with specific purposes. Are you willing to finish what he started? Emma thought of Catherine's cruelty, the employees who'd lose everything, her grandmother's stolen brilliance. "Yes, tell me everything." Harold smiled. "Let's discuss the Willowbrook Community Foundation, established 2 weeks ago with Daniel. Morrison as founding donor and Emma Chen as executive director. Emma's world tilted. What? Your husband was playing a longer game than anyone realized. Now it's your move. Harold spread documents across his desk, bank statements, legal filings, patent applications. The picture they painted stole Emma's breath. Morrison Textiles has been insolvent for 3 years, Harold explained. They're using the employee pension fund as collateral. That's illegal. Thomas sits on the banking commission. His friends run the newspapers. Who would investigate? Emma understood. Daniel hadn't just fought family, but an entire protective system. Using his personal inheritance, Daniel set up the Willowbrook Community Foundation. Harold continued. Officially, it's for workforce development. Unofficially, it's a lifeboat for when Morrison Textiles fails. Emma opened Daniel's letter. My dearest Emma, if you're reading this, my worst fears have passed. The foundation is my true legacy, helping those my family exploited. You're executive director because you have what they never valued. Genuine compassion with intelligence. The foundation has $3.2 million in funding. Save who you can. Your grandmother's patents. The case is ready. Morrison Textiles could owe millions in royalties. That money could fund the foundation for years. Be brave, my love. Be everything my family feared. Forever yours. Daniel. Emma set the letter down, overwhelmed. The heart attack. Daniel was healthy. Autopsy by Dr. Marcus Shelby, Thomas's personal physician. Body cremated in 48 hours, despite Daniel wanting burial. The implication hung heavy. They killed him. We can't prove it, but Daniel suspected something might happen. That's why he moved quickly. Won't they challenge the foundation? They'd have to know about it first. The paper trail is complex. By the time they unravel it, you'll be operational with public support. Harold handed her keys. Foundation offices are in the Riverside building. Daniel renovated the top floor quietly. They'll come after me. Which brings us to your grandmother's patents. Morrison made $200 million from her innovations over 30 years. They owe her a fortune they don't have, but they have assets. A clever lawyer could structure a settlement, transferring resources just as the company enters bankruptcy. The elegance of Daniel's plan amazed her. Return stolen wealth to community, protect employees, ensure justice, all legally. When do we start? Your grandmother flies in tomorrow. The foundation board meets Thursday, and Friday, Morrison Textiles' quarterly meeting receives interesting agenda items. Emma gathered the documents. Daniel said the Morrisons' weakness was believing everyone was as selfish as them. They never imagined someone sacrificing for others. He didn't sacrifice everything, Harold corrected. He saved you. Now finish what he started. The Riverside building's top floor took Emma's breath away. Daniel had created more than offices. He'd built hope. Modern workstations, comfortable seating, conference room labeled Mei Ling Chen Innovation Center. Margaret arrived with 6 others. Willowbrook residents Emma recognized but never connected. Meet the shadow board, Margaret explained. Daniel found us all. Robert Kim, forced from Morrison Textiles for questioning accounting. Maria Santos, whose restaurant was destroyed by Morrison competition. Dr. Aisha Patel, the senior center, director and former Morrison researcher whose innovations were stolen. We've been preparing, Margaret said. Creating programs, identifying families who'll need help. We just needed someone to pull the trigger. The next morning, Emma met her grandmother at the airport. Mei Ling Chen had Emma's determined chin, and intelligent eyes framed by silver hair. "Daniel found me 6 months ago," Mei Ling explained in Harold's office. "Showed up with questions about old patents. I told him to leave the past buried, but he persisted." She reviewed the documentation. "This is solid work. Their entire fabric division is built on theft." "We could win this," Emma said. "Help everyone. They'll abandon. They destroyed my career. But that was my fight. It's about preventing them from doing it again. They're planning to gut the pension fund, 800 families." Mei Ling studied her granddaughter. "You've changed. Daniel said you were too accepting. Now I see steel. The Morrisons taught me kindness without power is weakness. Daniel taught me power without kindness is cruelty." Her grandmother smiled fiercely. "Then let's discuss strategy." That afternoon, Marcus Webb filed Mei Ling's patent claim at the state capitol. By evening, a judge had frozen Morrison assets pending investigation. Thomas learned during golf, reportedly shattering his club against a tree. Catherine discovered during a charity luncheon, the courier also delivering Emma's note. "You were right. I never belonged in your world. But your world is ending, and mine is beginning." Emma Chen, Executive Director, Willowbrook Community Foundation by Sunset. Morrison lawyers were calling desperately, threatening countersuits, offering settlements. Harold let them go to voicemail. "They've finally looked at their real books," he told Emma with satisfaction. "They're drowning, and we took their life preserver." The paradigm had shifted. The hunters had become the hunted. The Morrison Textiles boardroom was in chaos when Emma arrived as Mei Ling Chen's legal representative. Thomas stood raging while board members studied legal documents. Catherine sat rigid, her composure cracked. "This is outrageous," Thomas shouted at the speakerphone. "I let her in," Judge Elizabeth Hartwell replied. "Ms. Chen represents material patent claims. As of 9 a.m., Morrison Textiles is under court supervision. Your creditors filed involuntary bankruptcy. On whose authority? Federal Bankruptcy Court. Your offshore asset movements concerned your lenders. The first domino, the patent claim, had toppled the rest. Mr. Harrison Blackstone arrives within the hour as special master," the judge continued. "All decisions require his approval." After the call ended, Emma stood. "I'd like to present documentation regarding Mei Ling Chen's patents." "You have no right," Thomas started. "Actually, she does," interrupted Gerald Hoffman, the eldest board member. "If patents are invalid, our fabric division is worthless." Emma distributed documents. 35 years ago, Mei Ling Chen developed revolutionary processes. The NDA she signed was witnessed by an expired notary. Patent assignments were filed without her signature. "How much?" Hoffman asked quietly. "Our accountants calculate $347 million, more than Morrison Textiles' current assets." The room erupted. Through it all, Emma remained calm. Harrison Blackstone arrived, late 50s, sharp-suited, experienced in corporate dissection. "Morrison Textiles is insolvent. The pension fund was improperly used. You can cooperate with restructuring or watch everything burn." Emma stood again. "The Willowbrook Community Foundation offers a solution. We'll purchase viable assets and restructure as a worker cooperative. The price would satisfy claims and partially pay creditors." "Absolutely not," Thomas snarled. "You'll see it destroyed regardless," Blackstone observed. "At least this saves jobs." "Employees already voted," Emma informed them. 73% support the cooperative model. Victoria Morrison broke family ranks. I motioned to explore the proposal. The vote was swift. 8 supported, 2 abstained. Thomas and Catherine stood alone. As the meeting dissolved, Emma faced her former in-laws. "You planned this," Catherine whispered. "Daniel planned it. I'm executing his vision." She left them shrinking into expensive clothes, joining others in planning Willowbrook's future, where workers owned their destiny. News of Morrison Textiles' transformation spread quickly. From dynasty to democracy, how one widow saved a town. Headlines read, but the Morrisons weren't finished. Thomas appeared at the senior center with lawyers and supporters, threatening residents. "Morrison money built this center. Vote against the cooperative or we'll ensure closure." "Mr. Morrison," Emma interrupted his tirade, "you're trespassing. This is state-funded. The Morrison family donated $5,000 annually," Dr. Patel corrected. "The state provides $400,000. The foundation pledged $50,000 annually for a decade." Thomas stepped closer, voice low. "Daniel thought he was clever too. Look how that ended." "Are you confessing something?" "I'm saying accidents happen, especially to people who forget their place. Like Daniel's accident," Emma pressed, aware phones were recording. "The healthy 31-year-old who mysteriously died after discovering your embezzlement." Thomas realized his mistake. "I didn't." "Mr. Morrison," Marcus Webb arrived with police. "You should stop talking. These officers have questions about financial fraud and threats." Thomas was arrested on fraud charges. The evidence painted clear pictures of embezzlement and asset stripping. Catherine turned to Emma with venom. "You've destroyed us. You destroyed yourselves. I stopped you from destroying everyone else." That evening, Victoria Morrison visited Emma. "Did they kill him?" "My brother." "I don't have proof. But Daniel was healthy, careful. He'd just discovered the pension fraud." Victoria pulled out a flash drive. "Daniel's notes. Mother missed this. It's all here. Embezzlement, offshore accounts, recordings of arguments with father. Why give this to me?" "Because you loved him. Someone needs to pay." Victoria published an op-ed. "Emma Chen didn't destroy my family. We destroyed ourselves through greed. She refused to let us take everyone down with us." Emma turned the flash drive over to authorities. Thomas faced trial for financial crimes. Daniel's death remained officially unsolved, though public opinion had rendered its verdict. The transformation took 6 months of intense work. Emma coordinated with workers, lawyers, and officials to create the region's first employee-owned manufacturing enterprise. The official transition ceremony arrived on a crisp October morning. 800 jobs saved. Pensions restored through mailing settlement, a sustainable model prioritizing workers over exploitation. Daniel would be proud, someone said. Thomas had written from prison, "You destroyed everything 3 generations built." But Daniel would be proud. "Take care of my employees, they deserved better." 2 hours later, Emma stood before hundreds gathered at the renamed facility. Workers and families, officials and media waited. 6 months ago, this company faced destruction from greed and short-sightedness. Today, we launch something different. A promise that your work matters. Your ideas have value. Your future depends on collective success. She cut the ribbon on the Daniel Chen Innovation Center. Inside, workers would develop ideas with company. Support, sharing profits, Mei Ling's ghost finally laid rest. Christopher Morrison approached in the memorial garden. Prison humbled Thomas, but community service had transformed Christopher. "You pulled it off," he said. "I'm starting a fund for families we hurt. Would the foundation oversee it?" A small gesture against decades of harm, but a beginning. Daniel would appreciate that. Harrison Blackstone waited with a proposal. 3 more companies face similar situations. This could be a model. Emma thought of her quiet life once imagined. Then Daniel's words, "Be brave, my love. Be brilliant. Send me the files." The Morrison empire had fallen, but something stronger grew, a community owning its future. 1 year later, the cooperative hummed with new energy. Workers held ownership stakes. Pride replaced resignation. "Emma," Rosa Martinez called. "The Sustainability Committee has something to show you." Where outdated machinery once leaked chemicals, a water reclamation system stood. Jun Park from Maintenance designed it. "We're saving 70% on water costs." Patent filed? Last week. Innovation Fund planning bonuses. This was Daniel's legacy, unleashed potential of people with agency. The quarterly board meeting approached, but first Emma visited the legal clinic that replaced a Morrison payday lender. Marcus Webb helped families while she reviewed proposals. For other failing companies, 2 salvageable with the cooperative model, Marcus reported. The 3rd was stripped bare. 40 families abandoned. The retraining fund could handle it if Christopher Morrison's fund doubles contributions. Morrison money finally flowing to those who needed it. Catherine gave a bitter interview claiming, "Emma destroyed them out of spite." Within hours, workers flooded social media with their stories. College funds possible, dignity found, innovations rewarded. Victoria published an op-ed. "Emma Chen didn't destroy my family. We destroyed ourselves. She refused to let us take everyone down with us." The state wanted to replicate the model statewide, offering Emma Director of Cooperative Enterprise Development. "I can't leave. The foundation will thrive under leadership you've developed," Mailing insisted. Daniel wanted to save everyone. He started with Willowbrook. "Don't stop there." Emma accepted. The Willowbrook miracle would become a movement. 5 years had passed since the funeral. Emma had overseen transformation of 17 companies into worker cooperatives, the Chen model, economists called it. The ceremony at Willowbrook Cooperative brought her full circle. The building bore new names: Daniel Chen Memorial Industrial, Innovation Center and Mailing Chen School of Textile Arts. Christopher worked full-time for worker cooperative non-profits. Catherine, older and humbled after Thomas's death in prison, sat with Victoria, who'd reconciled with her mother. 5 years ago, Emma began, "I had nothing but a suitcase. I thought my story was ending." But Daniel knew endings are beginnings in disguise. She announced her return to libraries. The Morrison estate, seized for taxes, would become the Daniel and Emma Chen Center for Economic Justice. Catherine approached after. "You were right. I didn't belong in your world. Your world needed to end. Any regrets?" Harold asked later in Daniel's memorial garden. Emma considered. She'd never remarried or had children, but she'd birthed 17 cooperatives, mentored hundreds of worker owners. "No, this is the life I was meant to live." The next morning, Emma handed her state office to Rosa Martinez. The Morrison estate transformation would begin. The house that expelled her becoming a center for economic justice education. In the garden, watching workers celebrate ownership, Emma whispered, Rest. Well, my love, your revolution is complete. In the rustling leaves and laughter, Daniel's answer seemed to come. No, Emma. It's just beginning. The camera would pull back, showing the transformed factory, the celebrating workers, Willowbrook itself. No longer owned by one family, but belonging to all who worked to make it thrive. Emma Chen had transformed exile into exodus, leading a community from economic bondage into collective ownership. She'd built something so much better that the Morrison name became merely a cautionary tale of concentrated wealth, while the Chen legacy, innovation reclaimed, power redistributed, love choosing justice, would endure for generations. Not revenge, but renewal. Not destruction, but transformation, the greatest victory of all.